Howdy, everybody. It's Rosie. So, I have not recorded a video in a long time. So, this is going to seem really random and confusing for a lot of people. But just so you know, I've been going down a rabbit hole lately about flag design and pride flag history, and I have thoughts. And I want to bring you on this journey with me about pride flags. So, there are a lot of pride flags, like a whole bunch of them, especially since the 2010s. A bit of an explosion of flag design happened, and there's just so many flags now. There's so many flags, in fact, that you might not have realized right away that two of the flags on the screen right now are not pride flags. They're countries. These are countries, not not pride flags. But there are a lot of flags, and some of them are great, and some of them are not as good. And we're going to see what we can do about that. Now, we're talking flag design. If you're at all into flag design, you've seen this list before. They're the principles of flag design from that TED Talk about city flags. And most of these we're really good at with pride flags. Keep it simple? Absolutely. Almost all pride flags are horizontal stripes of color. Not even vertical stripes. Horizontal. So very simple. Symbolism, amazing. Perfect. Everybody loves to tell you what the colors mean. There's little essays about all the colors and what they mean, and it's great. We are not worrying about the number of colors. They're pride flags. That's just not what we're here for. We're really good about not writing on the flags. Nobody is writing the word lesbian on the lesbian flag. That we don't need to. It's fine. It's 5. It's number 5. The distinctive and related that I think needs a little bit of work, and I'll talk you through that. But also, some of the flags are ugly. We'll talk, maybe we can fix a few of them. We'll see. Let's talk rainbow flags. So, of course, we have our icon here, our beautiful, our classic. She's wonderful. My only complaint is that sometimes I can't tell if something is supportive or intended for an elementary school. It can come across a little Noah's Ark, is what I'm saying. But overall, really good. Love it. Glossing over a lot of history here, we do have the original flag from the 70s. It's beautiful. I actually really, really like it. The hot pink, the turquoise. I get why, historically, it was changed. The hot pink apparently was really hard to find, that color in cloth, to mass produce. So I get it. But I really wish we brought it back a little bit more. I think it's a good choice. We also have the progress flag, which the use of the chevrons to bring in more colors without just stacking stripes, so good. So good, so clever. I love it. There's also this variant, which I think is also wonderful, and I love the thought behind it. I will say, I think the ring is a little bit thin, and the 2 shades of yellow kind of bugs me. But overall, great work here. Now, it's well known at this point that almost all modern pride flags are horizontal stripes of color. Just horizontal stripes, because they're all riffing on this flag, right? They all want to be the rainbow flag. But that is not historically true. A lot of the flags from the 90s had stuff on them, right? This is the second oldest pride flag. This is the leather pride flag, the bear flag, the polyamory flag, the rubber pride flag, and the intersex flag, which is a little newer, 2010s, but really iconic, really good. We're going to come back to this slide later, because I feel like it's important to note that we can put stuff on the flags that isn't just stripes. We have options. Also, a fun fact, that these are the only 2 flags, other than the rainbow flag, I guess also this one, that use red. The other flags, I can't think of any that have red. I don't know why we decided we don't like red, but in the 90s, we were fine with it. All right. We're going to look at another flag that's going to help us bridge the gap between the past and the present, and that is this flag. This is the original lesbian flag, and it's really good in a lot of ways. The violet, because violets were a flower associated with lesbians and sapphic women. The triangle was really big. The inverted triangle was a big deal with 90s Pride merch. It has sort of fallen out of fashion, mostly because of its history, its association with its use in the Holocaust. It's just not as widely used anymore. But so this was the original lesbian flag. And if you were on Tumblr in the 2010s, you are now having war flashbacks, because we went through a lot of redesigns for the lesbian flag, just a lot of them. And we settled on this one, which is beautiful. This is the sunset lesbian flag. I actually slightly prefer its 5-stripe variant. It's excellent. It's really good. And it is a good example of what I'm mostly going to focus on in this video, which is being related to other flags. Because around this time, there was some discussion about how the rainbow flag is increasingly an umbrella flag and that gay men should maybe have a unique flag to themselves. So this is what we came up with. Some people don't like the specific colors they were chosen here, but I like it. I like that it's clearly in the same theme as the lesbian flag. They're visually coherent. They're in conversation with each other. And that, I think, is something that the flags as a whole could use more of. So there's this idea in flag design that even while each flag is going to be unique for whatever it's representing, that you can also use unified colors and patterns and symbols to express community, shared connection, shared history, or shared experience. This is really common in a lot of country flags, and I think it's something that would be great if we brought more into pride flags, because we are all under that beautiful rainbow umbrella. We are all in the queer community, the LGBT community, and while there is diversity and uniqueness within that, we all have this shared connection and shared community and shared experience. And I feel like we could build a visual language with the flags that conveys that better, so that the diversity is still celebrated, but you can still see a kind of cohesion and a connection and a unity within the pride flags. A note, I'm not a graphic designer. I just have a lot of strong opinions about pride flags. Also, these are for fun. Don't throw away all your pride flags tomorrow and try to print new ones in these new designs. These are just a fun thought experiment. This is also not a commentary on micro labels. I'm not saying we should get rid of or cull down the number of flags at all. I just think that the flags should be tweaked slightly so that the commonalities between labels are emphasized, rather than pretending that each different label is a totally separate little island with no connection to anyone else. Also, in general, I'm going to default to the older and more used flags. I know some of these flags have proposed alternatives, but if they only show up on the sexuality and gender wikis, I'm going to try to go with the ones that are in more common use. Also, I'm going to try to not change the colors as much as possible. They have meaning. People design these flags with these colors to have meaning behind them, and I want to respect that. So I might tweak the shades a little bit here and there, but in general, we're not going to mess with the colors too much. So let's start with one near and dear to my heart, the bi flag, one of the older pride flags. Beautiful, iconic, recognizable. I do think the purple is a little undersaturated, but we're going to go with it. It's fine. Now, within that beautiful bi umbrella, there are two kind of sibling identities. They're very similar. We overlap a lot of shared common experiences, pan and poly. It's polysexual, not polyamorous. That was the other flag. So right away, you can tell we're aiming for a theme here. They're all 3 colors, pink on top, blue on bottom. They are all different pinks and blues, which I'll be honest, I did try. Here they are side by side. If you try to unify the pinks and blues, it ends up making the center stripe colors look weird, no matter what you go with. And I didn't want to change the colors too much. But there is an easier solution, because one of the very unique things about the bi flag is this center stripe is thinner than the other 2 stripes. That is pretty unique among the pride flags. And if you just do that to the other 2, if you just pull in that center stripe, now, even though the pinks and the blues are different, they are visually using that same language. You can tell, yeah, we have this in common. It conveys, I think, that kind of commonality between them without even having to mess with the colors. So, going to give that one my stamp, and we're going to move on. The ace flag. I love the ace flag. It's very nice. I do think that purple is a little bit too saturated. I have opinions about purple. I saw somebody on Tumblr once suggest taking the bi flag and swapping the purples, and I I kind of like it. Anyway, my real issue with the ace flag is that I don't think it talks very well to the other flag I think it should talk the most to. So look at these flags. Which flag does it look more similar to? This one. This is the non-binary flag. And these two look like they should be cousins. They're both 4 stripes. They have the white, the black, and a shade of purple. But I don't think that these are the flags that really have the most in common. I think it should be ace and aromantic. Asexual and aromantic, to me, feel like siblings. They feel like, they have this shared, a lot of similar experiences, but the flags get so close to lining up, and they don't. The arrow flag has this extra stripe of green, so it's got a different number of stripes. They don't line up. It bugs me, and it bugs me because their demi versions and their gray versions do. Like, these match, these don't. So it's a pretty simple fix. You just take this flag and you do that to it. And I really like this. I think that this makes a lot of sense. I think it's very visually coherent. If I could make one change, like a real change, it'd be this. Because I really like the coherence that this builds visually. This makes sense to me. Let's move on to the big project. So in my brain, and people might disagree, in my brain, all of the non-cisgender identities feel like an umbrella. They feel like a family to me. You got trans, you got genderqueer, you got agender, you got gender fluid, you got non-binary. These feel like they have a lot of commonalities, a lot of shared experiences, a lot of shared history, basically the same history until those terms started diversifying. And yet their flags don't convey any of this shared community. They're all a different number of stripes, a different number of colors. There's not even really a shared color palette between them other than they all have white. If you looked at these flags, you wouldn't think those flags all have something in common the way when you see like all the Nordic flags, So I want to go through these one at a time, and I want to build them into like a coherent family. Let's start with the trans flag. Beautiful, iconic, wonderful. I will say, I think the pink is a little bit flesh colored. We're not going to change the color, but we're going to let it stay. We're going to let it be what it is. And we're going to use the trans flag as sort of a template to build the sort of visual language around. So let's look at one of the other non-cisgender flags. Can you guess what this flag is? Hopefully, agender, because it matches the aromantic flag. They get the same color palette, and I love it so much. That's very satisfying to me. Also, these two flags already have some stuff in common. They both have lateral symmetry. They are the same top and bottom, which I think is a fun feature. Not a lot of the pride flags have that. I think we can run with that. I think we can use that as our starting place for how we're going to tweak the other flags in this family to make them more coherent. So for now, this one's going to stay exactly as it is. Moving on, we have another flag near and dear to my heart. This is the genderqueer flag. I will say it does have the same color palette as the UK suffragists, which, a different order, it's fine. But we want it to match up better with the trans flag, to have that shared visual language. And we also want it to be in this shared language with the agender flag, so we're looking at lateral symmetry. I like it. It's the same colors, but now, like the trans flag, it is 5 stripes, white stripe in the middle, lateral symmetry. It actually matches pretty well with the trans flag. I like it. Let's move on. So, next on our list, we have the non-binary flag. I feel like that yellow is a little bit too bright, but we'll go with it. Apart from just looking a lot like the ace flag, this flag doesn't have a lot of the hallmarks we're looking for this sort of visual family, right? It's 4 colors, 4 stripes. We want to bring it in line with the others, with that kind of lateral symmetry. We have this. So this one ended up looking a lot like the agender flag, where I put the accent color in the middle. It also has the same black bars on top and bottom. So these are now looking more visually united. And lastly, we have my nemesis, the gender fluid flag. Something about it, something about the palette, just my brain doesn't really like. I'm gonna be honest, even just reordering the stripes, I like this more, and I'm not sure why. I think maybe the pinks by each other just looks better in my brain. I've moved the black and the blue. Um, so the black's on the bottom. This works better in my brain, but it's not the theme, right? We are trying to build this visual cohesion. So if we wanted to have lateral symmetry, this is a lot of colors. So it ends up 9 stripes to get the same pattern we've been going for. But I kind of like it. We'll come back to this. So here is how these flags started, right? We have all the non-cisgender flags we're looking at and how disparate their design is. And our current drafts bring us to this, which I think already looks a little more united, a little more coherent. We can improve this a little bit if we want all the purples to be the same shades. We could even bring those greens in line. So now the purples and the greens match where they are. I think these look pretty good. But if you wanted them to be a little more visually coherent, you're noticing that all of them have white, but only 3 of them have white in the center. We can rearrange these colors a little bit and bring them to this, which, you know, is pretty good. I like that all right. So now these are looking more visually similar. Maybe you're sitting here and you're like, I don't like how many stripes that is. I don't like that they're different numbers of stripes. So maybe we decide that the lateral symmetry isn't the important thing. It's actually the equal stripes with white in the middle, which brings us here. That's pretty good too. My only complaint here is that now the agender flag looks way too much like the arrow flag. Like that's just the same flag. So we would need to do something about that. But now I want us to jump back. Not all the flags have to just be stripes of color. They just don't. We can do other things. We could put a chevron on there, pull the white out of the main flag, and throw a white chevron on, right? That looks really nice. We could take a clue from the intersex flag and put circles, put rings. I kind of like that. That's kind of fun. We could just put hearts on there like the leather flag. There are so many options. Honestly, that gender fluid flag is really cute now. I really do actually like that a lot now. So what I'm saying is that there are options to kind of increase the visual coherency of the flags. And again, this is all for fun, except I do really think, you know, right? Okay, that's what I thought.